Hello, this is Gerald Overmars. In my last video I had a word with the letter V. I think I can do it a bit better. The descriptions of the letter V, how you can find it, should be defined a little bit better, so I've looked for another example. And we learned already from the last video that the V is about a certain value with no fixed place or no fixed timing, and that only by context you can find it. But that's a bit vague, like with the letter V. It has only a value, like with the letter V, but yeah, not finding a real place or not finding a real timing. So how can you find that place or timing via context should be explained a bit better. So what would be a very good idea to do so is to have an object with the letter V as a first letter that is also about a place. So in that way we can find its place and we can define its place also better. We know the veranda, where it is and so on. So it should be clear that we can find that context via the description in the word veranda, or the porch as it is also called. Let's go and find out. And in the right I have here the theory that will back me up. This is a resume of the theory, but we will go to the description of veranda via the letters and the meaningfulness of the letters, of its positions, and how we can find its positions and how we can describe these positions, and this way understand its the way how these positions work together and describe actually the object itself. So, but first we have to define the V a little bit better. The V is one of these more difficult categories, the last category, which are about, like I wrote here, the conditional framing with an adaptation to context with a feedback that you find there. A lot of theory if you see it like that. But we can do better. I think maybe a slightly better definition is defined by the three sorts of focuses. We can define these three sorts of focuses of finding the point where we can have a reference. The first 9 letters are about finding points in space. That's how we find our references in space. How do we find references in timing? It's by finding the directions, in which direction things are going and evolving. Then that way we can find them. How can we find the places and timings in context? Is via the factor of the unknown. We have to define the unknown. We have to discover the unknowns, and there are specific definitions how we can find them. The starting points of this whole system, where the 3 first letters are the Q, V and G. These are the 3 sorts of starting points of unknowns. So these are also basically the 3 unknowns. Look how we start from, you can read in the system here, from with a horizontal vertical diagonal. Look how we start from the center with Q, from the material with V, from the borders of the limits with G. This is literally the theory. So literally these are 3 unknowns. You have the unknowns of the first category, so there's one unknown which we can define the rest, and this one unknown in Q is the starting point, of course, first point there. The V is the materialization process, the changing process, the timing process, how things are changing, how things are evolving, are forming and so on. This is the unknown for the materialization. That's already a little bit better definition. And the G is that unknown of the end goal. Let's visualize this a little bit, so we can have an example how we can visualize this. All these 3 points are quite far away. And in the far away you can have that something of a starting point, a reference point, where we have to base ourselves upon to make a comparison, because it's a different starting point. What is better, as an example, as a different starting point is someone else's starting point, or even a mutual starting point where we can define the definition. So we have another figure a bit further away. He or she or it or the organization will be our mutual starting point in Q. You will wait in Q as well. The second one is how we fill things in, the materialization process. So actually we only have the outside frame, let's say, and we all still have to fill it in. A very good example is from something which is further away. It's like a house, because we can house things in. It's like a house or a frame, or it could also be a field, it's also possible, a field to fill in. So we have here something to fill in here. Let's say this is the house, and something quite far away is of a destiny, a goal, a destiny, like with a G, a goal, is comparable to, let's say, mountains with some clouds on top, the destiny where we can go to. So the three zones here, quite near, all far away, but into the three positions we can have the Q, V and the G. So basically these three letters are Q. How do we start? This is a question mark, so we don't know how to start. We have two different opinions, my opinion, your opinion, and we have to find a way how to start together. That's the Q. The V is like, okay, we have something to fill in. It's not filled in yet, so we have a place, a time, maybe even a time schedule. We have a definition, but it's still not filled in, so it still needs to be filled in. And then with the G, it is also how shall we end something. It's not known yet how we shall end it, but we can fill that. We can still learn to fill it in and see into the context how we have to fill in its destiny, or how to fulfill its destiny. That's what is better said. So of course now today we're going to start with V, so we only leave the what we need to fill in. That's the only thing we need. We need to figure out. So how do we fill it in? That's the context. The context will be described with the letter V, so that we know it's a housing, so it's like a filling in. So we already have the building, let's say. Now we have to fill it in. How shall we fill it in? What we do know is where we start and where we end. So in between that, it's this place to fill in something. It could also be a cupboard, or something, so that we need to fill a closet or something that we still need to fill in. Doesn't matter, but we have here a bit further away. That housing is a very good example. It will be about a house, so now it will describe how it will be filled in into our context of the housing, of the structure, and so on. So we have a structure, and let's start with the first part, ver or ver. Therefore we need the R. The is clear, that is like, okay, we need a certain time, and so we will use the time for it. To fill it in, of course. We take our time, or our time schedule, to fill it in. That's what the V and the E together already. Next letter will be the R. So where is the R? Also, it's another unknown. It's on the second category. So there will be two parts that needs to be filled in, and the third one will decide. So this R with two unknowns, which will decide the destiny. The unknown of where we have to start, and the unknown where we have to fill in the material, and it will be known where we will land in the end. So we will know where we start. It's like these arrows, so you go to the point where you gradually fill it in. So we take our time schedule to fill it in, and we actually going to fill it in with these R. So ver is that activity of taking the time to fill things in. You also have it grammatically ver, exists also in grammar, but I'm not going to talk too much about that, but you can investigate that part as well. The second part is an. So let's investigate an. An is, the first letter is the N, so we give it, you can find it in my scheme. You give something a destiny, and you give, what do you give a destiny? You give destiny to a certain part of the material, you give it a destiny or different destiny, and so on. With starting from A is, of course, emphasizes even more. We start from something and we take a part from it, a part of something, from a central piece actually, to give that a different destiny. So now we have to combine both. So you have ver and an already. So veran is that, not very clear if we have the house quite small, so we will make it a bit bigger. So here you have ver an. So you have, so we have something that we take out, a small part, we'll take out and give that part a different destiny. So now how will it look like will be described in the result. How it will look like will be described in the last two letters. First I will position myself well, so here I'm looking at veran and I'm going to add da. So what is da? I have used it before. I use it exactly as I used it before. It is about a physical thing or a physical position which you move away. So what shall I do? I use this point that I want to give it another destiny and I move it away from the house. And that's how I fill it in. So I had that question mark. How shall I fill in this idea of veranda to, in this case, the house? How shall I fill that in? I give a certain place a different function and I take it away from the house. I give it a little bit distance from the house, and there it will be filled in, and that's the third part of the R also. There will be, the material will be filled in the end, and there will it be at that place where it moved a bit away from the house and where it gave it a different function. And so I have veranda. I hope you enjoy this. There's some books there to prepare you. There's some website with previous words listed in it. And there's a Facebook page to keep yourself informed. Thanks again for watching. Bye.